Hi, everyone. So, welcome to the first grade project. This whole project is going to deal with line, and it will end with an introduction to or a review to color. So, we're going to be looking at and drawing a bunch of different kinds of lines today. So, this is a nice image that shows a lot of different kinds of lines. So we know that there are straight lines that could go up and down. We call them vertical. We know that lines can go horizontal and be straight. This is like a horizon line, or like you look on water and you see it looks like water goes on and on and on and just never ends. And then sometimes a sunrise or a sunset will end on that horizon line, which stems from the idea of a horizontal line, which goes from side to side. We also have straight lines that go on a slant. So this would be straight, then they kind of slant either left or right, and we call those diagonal lines. Lines can be dotted, like in the middle of a road. And all this is that there's a space in between all these lines, but our eye still follows that line because they're like shapes, like sizes, and even though they aren't all one line, they're close enough that our eye still follows that. So we call that a dotted line. These could be circles, they could be pictures of ducks, but similar shapes with spaces in between, but close enough, are dotted lines. We have a wavy line, or a curvy line is another way of doing it. I like to think waves because it looks like a wavy lake. We also call them curvy because they go up and down, but they never have a point. So wavy or curvy lines are always smooth and soft. If your finger touched the top of one, it wouldn't get poked. Now we can go to the zigzag lines, and that's a different story. They're pointy on the top and they're pointy on the bottom. So these lines are called zigzags, and they are like curvy or wavy lines, but they always have points, where curvy and wavy lines always have rounded tops and bottoms. They're nice and smooth. Okay. Zigzags are usually also very steep. So if you were walking up this mountain, when you got to the top, you'd have to be careful going down because you could probably fall and you'd have to roll all the way down. Where a curvy or wavy line, if you were running up this, you could keep running and probably run down and not have to worry about that. So zigzags are a lot steeper, a lot pointier. We have the spiral, where we either start from the outside and then make our way in, or we start from the inside and we make our way out. Loop lines are probably the hardest, and they're hard because wherever you start, you have to go up and then you got to come back, but you got to make your way across the paper. A lot of kindergarten, first grade, and second graders make loops, but they never leave the same space, so they end up with this big crazy scribble almost, because they never moved their pencil across the paper. So you can see I'm constantly moving to the other side as I'm doing that. Okay. So we'll talk more about that during the example. And then we have some other lines like the clouds, and this is kind of an example of mixing curvy or wavy lines with zigzags. The top is soft and round, and the bottom is pointy. And if you do it where you keep moving and then you kind of move in a circle and you come back and you end up with a cloud. So this is a really good reference. It's on your Schoology page. Click on it and you'll have a nice example. It's even better if you can print it out and have it next to you to kind of reference. I will have it off to the side and be doing that. So you have the paper that was provided for you. You can turn it horizontal or vertical. See those same definition words used. I have mine this way because I think it's just a little bit easier for you to see. And then you need a black marker. We're going to work with black because we're going to be adding color later on. So with the black marker, we are going to talk about how these lines need to start. You always have to start the line on the edge of the paper. So you don't want to start here, that's inside. So we're always going to start on the edge. You could start up here, you could start down here. You get to decide where you want to start, but it has to be on the edge. Then when we draw our line, we're going to go either all the way across the paper or find another side or another edge by the end of that line. So an example of that, I'm going to do a straight line, is I start at the top and I'm going to do this one kind of on a diagonal. So it's a straight line and it goes from one side to the other. Then I will do a curvy line or a wavy line. I'm going to make mine kind of big. And you'll notice this one goes from one side all the way to the end. Zigzags can be small or they can be big. Okay. And if I stop right here, did I go all the way to the edge? No. So now I need to start where I left off and get it so that it goes all the way to the edge of the paper. I'm going to do a dotted one across the side here. So these ones have spaces, and spaces are okay for dotted lines. And you'll notice I'm going right over the top of other lines. That's okay. And then if I want, I'm going to add a little there so it looks like it goes all the way off. The hardest one to do is loops. So we talked about that being hard. Make bigger loops than smaller loops. Smaller ones are really hard because you end up, you got to do so many to get across. So I'm going to start here. And with my loops, I'm going to make them really big. And again, we're moving across the paper. I'll do a little one. Okay. So I know it looks kind of confusing and crazy, but started here, went up, came back down, went all the way over here, went up, came back down, moved all the way to the far corner, down, and then a small one. Okay. Right, which other ones do I need? So we could do a little cloud. What I want you to look is, did you fill up most of your paper? Okay. If you think, you know what, I have a lot of white space down here, well, then maybe you can add one of those. I call this the castle line because it looks like the top of a castle. So maybe I add that across. If your whole paper is filled right now, you don't have to do that. But now my paper has still a lot of white space, but I have an example of a line kind of in most areas. Right? So that is step one. And if you did this or you're just watching it for the first time, that's smart. Now you can go back and watch it and follow along. That'd be great. Thank you.